Hello, and welcome to another episode of VFX Talks, a show about leadership and development in the VFX industry. My name is Alfred Lindahl, and today I'm joined by VFX Supervisor Carlos Caballero Valdés. Carlos has been working on a long line of movies, starting as a compositor on films like Captain America and Prometheus, then was a comp soup on Terminator Genisys, Fantastic Four and others. He then became a VFX supervisor, a digital effects supervisor on Maleficent and Ghostbusters Afterlife and so on. And most recently, he was a VFX supervisor on Transformers Rise of the Beast at MPC in Montreal. Now, this conversation was a lot of fun. Carlos is a great storyteller, and the episodes from his early days in VFX are amazing. And we also talk about communication and leadership, which is obvious that Carlos has been thinking a lot about. So we talk about how to lead teams remotely and the need for being extra structured and professional while doing that. And we talk about being specific in your feedback and how to build an environment of trust and much more. I think you will find this episode really informative as well as entertaining. So without further ado, here's my conversation with VFX supervisor Carlos Caballero Valdés. So Carlos, welcome to the show.
Hello.
I'm really happy to be talking to you.
And me too. Thank you for inviting me.
Great. But why don't you start with telling you a bit about like your background, how you got into VFX and how you became a VFX supervisor, like the short version.
The short version, yeah. I started since I was a kid, be interested in synthetic image, like was called in that time, visualization and these things. There was not too many industry, for sure, not in Spain, about VFX. I went through all kind of a long process of going through many of the disciplines of media, like printing, illustration, multimedia, etc., until I end working with Silicon Graphics in the Spanish dealer of SGI, an alias Wavefront. And that opened the doors to the more like post-production space, because in that time was just these big machines and systems, like was nothing you can have at home, Now you have your phone that is the same power, no? But it's all the time, and slowly I just did few companies with friends and other professionals that crossed my path, and one day I said, well, it's like I don't know what else to do in Spain, and I jumped to London, to try to work in feature film and do these things. For that time,
how did you get your first job there in London?
My first job in London was an adventure, because I went there with no knowledge of the companies. I went there with no contacts in the companies. I was 38 years old when I arrived there. And suddenly I was like, go back to your student life, like boom. And look for a job was like knocking all the doors, talking with people, networking here, networking there, sending curriculums. I think I was 5 months waiting until I found the proper job. And when I was almost running out of resources to stay there, suddenly I had 3 offers in the same week. But it was mostly pure insistence, pure constant, and never surrender. I went to interviews in what basically they asked me things I didn't even understand what we were talking about. And there was one interview in what I think I said no to an offer just because my English was not strong enough to understand the thick accent of the British guy. But it was a full adventure. And in the end, I got I think was Prime Focus, MPC, other little company there, and I choose MPC. I choose the let's say I choose the shorter experience because it was only 2 months, but it was the biggest movie. It was Wrath of Titans, I think. No, yes, no, it was Caspian, Narnia, the last Narnia.
Okay.
Cool. And the start from there has been like a full-on VFX for feature film life.
Do you remember what you got to do on Caspian?
Yeah, I remember forever. I remember, like in that times, London was quite intense. In London, basically, there is now a concept of overtime, and not from the monetary point of view. It's from the work effort point of view. Or there was not, but this we have in account that was like 15 years ago, no? So basically, and there was a moment in what there was a lot of people from Europe starting to work there. No? It was kind of the opening to people. No? So basically, I remember that we were working very hard. We were enjoying a lot the work because we were all very passionate about that. It's people who basically left their lives to do that. So it's kind of a dream situation. And I remember, I think it was in the second week, it was like 9 in the evening, something like that. I was there like with my first shot, like click, 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 click. And then one guy in rain suit, in rain trousers, in a t-shirt, come to me, look at the shot. It's looking good, but you have to put all the smoke and all the stuff. It's going to look good. And when he's leaving, he said, yeah, but I'm waiting for the FX. And the guy looked at me and said, what FX? No, you don't need FX. You don't have FX in this shot. This is full 2D. Was like all the actors were looking from the board of a ship towards a dragon passing behind the camera, throwing flames, and then all the ambient was going to catch the light of the flames. No? And the play was like these guys in the boat with a blue screen and a light doing ping, like very weak, ping. And I said, oh, no FX? No, look, there is this library elements thing. Just gather elements and just change the light. And I was, oh my God, I don't have any idea of how to do this, Well, like a week later, the shot was done. I learned a lot that week and basically was like a constant learning. This guy, by the way, was the 2D supervisor, that I didn't even know the guy, It's like I was just working, but was a bit like that. Those first months were a bit like that every day, like, so I don't wait, no, I just paint it or I just crop it or I know I'm waiting for lighting to render this in a different animation. No, chop the arm and moving up and down, it's like that. Was cool. Clearly was fun what I was doing, but yeah, what quite is when I realized that is whatever it takes, you enter, you are the last line of defense of the in front of the client, after you is editorial basically and DI, and you have to do the things cannot go back unless they are very, very broken, and more in that times. I think in that times in MPC was that com team was very, very, very strong. Like in that team, you find people right now that a lot of them, they are supervisors, VFX supervisors, 2D supervisors. There was very strong people in that teams in that time. So we were doing like incredible things, like you cannot imagine.
Yeah. And then the years passed, and somehow you ended up in Canada.
Yeah,
how did that happen?
The thing is that it's very, very. Like the thing is that in the moment you leave your home place, kind of, it starts to be easy to keep changing, And there was this kind of culture about kind of do the tour, You have to go to London, and you go to Weta, then you go to LA, then you choose where you want to live, So I was in London for 2 years, and then one day I decided to move away. but there was a love story behind that too. Like finish and I said, well, I came here in part 2. I have to be honest. I went to London because that story, but and I decided to move. And I remember watching the Adventures of Jeremiah Johnson, like the movie. And there is this moment in what two of the characters, like Robert Redford and the other actor, are in their horses talking. But what are you going to do, Jeremiah? Let's go to I'm going to go to Canada. And I was watching the movie with a friend, and the guy said, let's go to Canada. And I said, let's go. So we apply. We applied to Canada, to Vancouver, to DD and Sony. I was talking with Sony. My friend was talking with DD. And one morning he called me and said, Carlos, I said, what? So DD just canceled my flight. You know, when DD have the first stop that they have to remake themselves. Yeah. And they canceled everything, and suddenly Vancouver was a city where there was a full crew of people free, so they canceled all. Like 2 hours later, I got an email from Sony saying, given the current situation, we cannot commit to the conversation. So I have the mental luggage done. So I just said where I go, and then I found that Animal Logic was looking for people, so I just moved to Animal Logic for a very short contract. I did that, and then when I finished there, like Australia is very cool. I really like it, but there was not in that time a lot of work. So it was very temporal, you know. Yeah. So basically, I just called back London and said, "Hey, Vancouver," and they said, "No, Montreal." Said, why Montreal? No, they speak French, and they speak all. No, Montreal, but there's no mountains there. Yeah, but you know, we have this new facility we are opening, and we want you to be a lead. And it's when they send me to. Well, they sent me. They asked me to go. They didn't force me. Yeah. And they ended in Montreal. I said, well, yeah. When I was in Australia, I was traveling with a motorbike for a few months there because it's kind of what I like to do in life. And I said, okay, I go to Canada, I get new motorbike, and I go to Patagonia. And well, I'm still here. I didn't have the chance to do the trip. No, it's 12 years later. No? But yes, that basically, you know, life take you take some options, and then life play with the options around to open new paths, and then you keep doing. So Montreal was like Canada in the 19th century, in the 18th century. You know, was like land of promission. Was a place that you can explore and find new things. So the company grows very fast, and then was the lead become supervisor. The supervisor become DFX, and then VFX supervisor here and I'm Canadian, and I'm citizen,
and the VFX supervisor.
And a VFX supervisor. Who was going to tell you that? I didn't know. I remember when I left London, like the head of the comm department said, "No, Carlos, stay, because you know you can be lead and then supervisor in a few years." I said, nah, that cannot happen. You know, it's not, I'm not that person. You know, you are crazy. You are saying that to flatter me, and so I stay. Well, it happened. So yeah, was an interesting adventure. You know, it's like I cannot say that I did it on purpose. I never ever thought I could be VFX supervisor or 2D supervisor.
And do you still feel that you're not that kind of person? Do you feel like an imposter, or?
But you know, this thing of how do they call it, the imposter syndrome thing?
Yeah,
we all have it. It's only how you hide it. You know, some people hide it in a very subconscious level. You know, and they don't even think they have it. But you know, you always other people. You know, there is even a pathology, I think, in psychology, that is people who cannot measure risk. You know, they are unaware of the consequences. You know, a part of that, guys. I think the rest of us, we have one level or other of that. And yes, I of course I have it. You know, it's all the time. But I think with the years you learn to, how will say, to glide more, you know? You just jump and woo, you don't need the the engine is that kind of, no, I have all tight, I know all my things, and no, sometimes with the years you take more risks, you are able to be more flexible and flow more with the thing, and that
you
kind of
realize
yeah,
you realize that I survived this project as a
maybe I know
light
something,
soup or composite,
maybe I have ideas, maybe because sometimes you find yourself like, okay, but it's not evident that if we do this, the shot is going to look better, and everyone is talking about other things, and you say, but it's not that, it's this, it's like the problem is that you don't like the shot, you don't know why you don't like it, and then you are charging against the color, but if we cut here and we remove these 3 frames and we do this, then nobody cares about the color. And then you are saying, should I say that? But this guy have an Oscar, And then you say it, and the guy, there's a long silence. Oh, yes, let's do that, So I think you have to there, and of course there is going to be consequences all the time, But mainly, if you are just thinking what you are saying and be cautious and don't be unpolite and kind of impose things to the rest, like in any level, I'm saying it. Like, I think this imposter syndrome is always great, but we all have to learn. We all have to grow to some extent, and part of that growing is fueled by you thinking you don't know enough or you are insecure in yourself. So I consider to myself, like, coming so late to this business, coming from Spain, that in that time was not a normal place, not having a formal education on it, because I don't have a formal education on it. I learned by myself. All of that handicaps, and the language, because when I arrived London, well, many people will say that even today my English is very bad. I know it's very bad, but hundreds of people understood my English, so I'm going to start to think it's okay. Now I have to learn French. After all of that, you feel like, I feel very grateful to that insecurities too, because they're the ones that allow me to look for better, to try to make it differently, or to try to experiment with other approaches, because the normal approaches were not working.
If you know it all, there's no need to learn.
Exactly. So and then you do the same thing again and again, and it's very comfortable space, because you get used to do that. No, ABC, it's always good, but then it gets boring. It get not just for you, that maybe you have the comfort of that security, but for the outside, like all start to look the same. Not saying nothing, but it's a bit like the blockbuster movies. So sorry. No, we repeat the same formula hundreds of times, no? And then someone take the risk, and the risk sometimes pays back, and the movie people love, and sometimes becomes like a fan base thing in 20 years later, because when you put it in the market, nobody like it, but then later people love it. And there is so many movies that nobody like when they put them in the cinemas, and they become that with the time, But I think the risk is needed to take. It's only that, well, it's a risk. Can go well, can go bad. But someone told me one time that he felt attracted to hire people who commit mistakes, because the one who commit mistakes learn from that mistakes. It's like, who have more experience, the one who has been 100% successful all his life, or the one who try higher and farther and fail and have to learn something from that and try it again. I think there's a very valuable energy and learning process in screw something and have to fix it.
And have you had any big failures in your career that you've learned a lot?
No big failures. I think because we put all our soul on it all the time, we get to figure out, but I'm sure could have been more soft experience. But at the same time, well, we are, as I said before, no, Canada is land of exploration. We are like pioneers here, like opening paths or trailblazers. No, I had a lot of little ones. One is coming to my mind right now tonight. I hope nobody take this into account, and because I'm sure the people involved is going to realize what is the story. But anyway, there was this.
We can edit it out if it
No,
gets too
you can
sensitive.
keep it. You can keep it. Like this colleague, he was leaving. We were in London, and and well, in London we have this. There was a funny way to work in the evening that was like, well, overtime food was coming at 8, so the people was like being there 6, 7, you go for a beer, and then 8 you come back and you eat and you work an hour more and then you go home. No, a bit of retaliation for the long hours. And this day within that we just decided to go for dinner. We were for a fundi, and we were 11 people, and we ended with 12 bottles of wine. So you can imagine we were very happy and very spirit.
Yeah.
And me and another colleague, we will have to, next morning we have a target to show it at 10 in the morning. So I just went back, come almost 12 p.m. And in that moment, the 2D soup and two of the leads, they were leaving the building, and I was entering the building. Probably, and he didn't like my face for sure. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "No, I want to finish out." Are you sure? Yeah, of course, I'm sure. I was not drunk. I was happy. So I went there and I started to do, and I did a lot of change. It was going very well. The music was amazing. The flow was there. It was 1 in the morning. Everything was great. I'm going to put this render. The render never came from the farm. It's more, all my scripts disappear from the hard disk. I was overwriting my own files so many times. I was not doing new versions. I was just screwing and destroying all the pixels in that hard disk. And the version was a disaster. Because, of course, I was not precisely focused. So probably at 4 in the morning with 2 coffee more and my head under the tap for an hour, just try to wake me up. I sit there and say, "Okay, Carlos, how you fix this?" You just, not only I broke my own script, I broke few other temporal comps, like internal things, and I have to reveal the full shot in that night. And at 6 in the morning, 7, I think I left. I was living very close to the place. I came back like at 9, like prepared for my execution. Just completely sure that, well, that was the end of my career.
Yeah.
And I just played the version that I left in the farm, and I was not looking back. Kind of. And we saw it, and they approved it, and it went. But the thing is, that night, since that night, I know I never overwrite nothing else in my life. I don't know if you in the pipeline you has been working, but in the pipelines of these big companies, it's very common, like to say, "Oh, we're going to send this version." No, but the artists overwrite the source files, and we have to re-render and blah, blah, blah. It never happened to me again, and I has been always very insistent. Not only in never work drunk, but in don't be careful with your liars. Be careful, like don't overwrite things. So
Yeah.
So yeah, like that, or yeah, there is plenty of that. But is that the experience too? You are in a very complex process, and sometimes you work a lot, and sometimes was you just usually you get more of that mistakes when you start to think you have it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's true.
your worst shot is the one you were super sure was going to be amazing. This version, they are going to love it. What is this?
Yeah. Awesome. I guess we're gonna come back to anecdotes like this because this is great.
Mm.
But I want to focus on like your role as a VFX supervisor
Mhm.
because I think that's something that is needed more. We need more advice for new supervisors and also leads and other leadership roles. So how do you see your role now as a VFX supervisor? What is your job actually? What are you doing?
Well, I think the work of a VFX supervisor, but depends a lot in facilities, depends a lot on projects, depends a lot of even your style. What is what you like more. I can only talk about me. It's like for me my VFX supervisor role and was very similar than my 2D supervisor role or my lead job or my in the essence, in the core. Is for me is just to get everyone focused and having in line with like the resources, the artist, the company needs, the client needs. Try to focus all of that in one point
Yeah.
and try to get that point. That point is a shot today. That point is an asset. That point is a full sequence. That point is the movie in the end. And it's just to put all in line and to create that synergy in what the artists know that they can trust you and that you are going to give when you tell them do this and this and don't do no more. They are going to be sure that that is what you want because you have some stages you want to cover and you are micromanage them to the point that you are saying, look, do something cool, and then you see how they get quiet, like because when you say something, what means something cool? Cool like this. You remember what we did in this shot, do this here, look, and then you paint and you do because you have to give. You cannot just. Or some people, that you can leave them more free, and then you give them. Okay, look, remember this movie when this happened? Was look at something like that. Like try to get this and see what happened. Hey, and then you talk with production, and say, oh, this guy's going. Oh, but we need the shot for tomorrow. Say, yeah, but let's talk with the client and see if we can get a bit more of time for that shot in particular because it's going to be very cool. And then you talk with the client and, oh yeah, it's good, Or the client says, no, because in the next segment we need this. Oh, and then you just call the other guy in 5 seconds. Hey, don't do it. Just do ABC, So, and the same with the client is just to sit with them and try to figure out what they want to say, what they want. Sometimes read behind them, because they have the clients, they have the director, they have the producers in the higher ranks. So it's kind of, you are there in the top of, there's a reason because in the ships, the control point is higher. It's because you fuel the boat,
Yeah.
So you are there in your tower, looking around, seeing the weather, seeing the things you can do, the things you cannot do, understanding that there is other projects too in the facility, so maybe you are not going to have all the luxury of people, and seeing the capacities of your system, how much you can produce in what time and in what level, and trying to accommodate the needs of the client into that without trying not to lose too many team members in the process. Or at least making it funny and happy work. One thing I maybe some hundred of people is going to contradict me, but I think the projects, not all of them, that is true, but I always try to make the thing fun, enjoyable. It's like we work hard, so yeah, it's just to keep the morale of your team high, everyone tuned, well informed, in the measure of the possible. It's not always easy because there's people who who don't want to listen. They want just to do their own things and tell me what I do, and they don't care about the sequence. No, they care about the shot. Okay, well, we use them. We help them to help us. And the same with production and the same with client. And sometimes it's teaching too, because sometimes you have to teach the producer to work with you, and you need to learn how to work with that producer. So you're an harmonizer. You're like the director of the orchestra. This boom, 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 trying to control all the stages. And on top of that, you have to give something creative to the client. Some clients want creativity, some clients want execution. But I like more the creativity part, and have ideas, and you present, and they don't like. Many times you present something in the school and they start to change it, and it goes to other direction. Don't cry too much. You give that to them, and of course everyone have a different view, but one is living in LA, other is living in London. You are living in Montreal. There is 40 centimeters of snow. The other guy is in his swimming suit in the pool, and the other guy is under a gray sky. So we cannot see the things in the same way. That's for sure. So is that, I think for me, the work of a VFX supervisor is harmonize all the inputs, try to get the project done with the budget and the resources we have, making the client as more happy possible, and making your team to feel rewarded. You did something cool, whatever you do. And if that, and for sure, if you can make it funny, like enjoyable for everyone and for yourself, is the best part. You are just trying to get everyone happy to some extent.
Yeah. And how can it look? Like you said that you teach your producer or
they teach me.
production
I
team.
learn a lot from other people. It's like you are constantly.
Yeah, but you have to teach them how to work with you, and I guess vice versa.
Yeah.
What can you say to a producer, or like what do you ask from them, or?
Well, like the relationship with any member of the team is a relationship. It's a human relationship.
Yeah.
So you arrive there the first day. Oh, this is going to be your VFX supervisor. Oh, this is going to be your producer. No? Hello. You don't know nothing about that person.
Yeah.
A week later, my what I love to do is to spend time with that person and to learn of every one of them. Like, and this is from every step in the chain. It's like, if the layout artist is a guy from Ecuador that came like 6 months ago to Montreal and is going to face the winter, you talk with him about it, and then you know more about that, and then you start to feel how this guy is going to react to the things, and then you ask, oh, can you do this, can you do that, and then you start to learn what are the capacities of this person and the language. Like I tend to speak in English even with the Spanish speaking people, to keep it like open to everyone else.
Yeah.
And then we start to talk, and it's his language, my language, and you synchronize with that people, and then you know what you can ask, what you cannot ask, what you can ask, but you need support from other people. The same in every level. I think from the runner to the director, you need to establish a relationship. It's not, you don't have to be friend of everyone. I think there's something that lately, this thing of we have to all be friends, and it's a professional thing, I would love to be friend of everyone, but we don't have time for it. So I want to know what you need. So when I need something, I give it to you, and I give you what you need to do that. And that is with every step. The producer is kind of should be a more close relationship, because we are like the father and the mother, not gender related. You are like the responsibles of the family in that point.
Yeah.
And we are like the point of contact with client side, and the ones who have to filter the inputs, the ones who have to filter the inputs to the client too, and manage and handle it, like manage all the expectatives of both places, keep the moral and the people happy. And one big complex thing that is to manage that bag of gold coins, like you have the pirates thing behind, like that you got to do the project, no? Okay, have 600 doubloons, you know. So it's tricky. I like to. For me, it's so much a teamwork that you really need to find a very good point of contact with absolutely everyone. And so with some of them, you grow on a friendship that lasts forever, you know. But because you go through tough times with everyone, you know, it's a bit like the trench friends, you know, of the band of brothers, you know, like we were in Terminator 5, you know, forever brothers in the pixel.
Oh yeah.
So
no, but I really like that that you spend time with everyone, just get to know people. That's so very much in line with how I like leadership.
Everyone. But I think a leader. I'm going to change it. You know, I think you need to know your tools. I'm not talking the people tools, you know, but if you know how to use your tools and what they are for and what they are not for, and how to use it, and you keep them maintained and fresh, and then every work, the difficulty of the work is in the work itself, it's not in how you use the tools. There is nothing more frustrating than be working with your team and don't being able to communicate with the team, or to be able to communicate with. The thing is that our teams are multi-layer, you know, you have many people between this guy and you know, and vice versa, between you and this guy who is the guy who is deciding, no? So how to help that thing to transmit the information and get the feedback, you know, get what this guy is reacting to that, like, hey, layout artist, we need to do this and this and this. And the layout artist doesn't, when that passed to the layout artist lost the information because it was changed by the psyche of 2 or 3 people, not wanted to do nothing bad, you know, because they imagine that you say, hey, add some cubes. The supervisor said that there's not enough cubes. I think you should, the lead said, no, you think you have to put 7 cubes. Whatever, that is his interpretation. There is not enough cubes. And then the guy arrived and, he put 3 cubes and 1 sphere because he liked it more, you know. So you need to fine-tune that line of communication. And the only way to fine-tune, because we are not in the army, so the people doesn't obey per se, you know, you don't, like we never went through a process of learn to don't think more than and obey. That is the basic of the army. You think your part, but mainly you obey the main order. Like we don't have that. Everyone has his opinion. Everyone has his thoughts. So it's very important to fine-tune all the thing. So when you said, and I will try never to say there is not enough or we need more, I will say how many, because I think it's important. But if I said that, to have all the line tuned in a way that they understand what do you want to say when you say many. And that is, for that you need to know all these different steps. But I will say, avoid to say many, just try to give a guide, no? Put 7, and then the client says, oh no, it's too many. Put 5. Oh, it's too much. Oh, you're confused.
So you do this in all of your language, try to be really specific when you give feedback.
I try. Sometimes I cannot, you know, sometimes you cannot, because the other thing is, and it's something, maybe it's because I always try to work in that way. I'm always trying to give something to my client that this can seen as an artist, as a compositor, that can be because when I started this profession, I had 3 companies in my back. I have a relationship with clients before, a lot. I was freelance half of my career. I have 3 companies then that we were doing different things. One was multimedia, other was documentaries, and another 2 were 4 companies, and other 2 were like more audiovisual based. But you learn to deal with client in that times, So when I arrived as an artist, as a mid artist, because I started as a mid artist after all that experience, I have this culture of, okay, my supervisor is my client. So what he wants, brief me properly, I make all the questions, and I propose you something. So I need that, and I love that. I love people who can propose, who can figure out themselves. For me, that is a senior. A senior is a person who says, hey, we have to do this and this and this. We need to put this here, and we have 3 days. And the guy, you don't talk with the guy anymore. Like 3 days later, you are sure that the guy is going to give you something good. And then that good can be good, or not so good because the client changed opinion, or because something changed in other sequence, or because whatever. But the guy is going to arrive with something that is substantial that you can discuss,
Yeah.
And when you're going to analyze that and try to adapt that to the rest of the project and the client needs and whatever, that person is going to react not in a personal way. Not saying, oh, but this is my work. I have been working on this so much time. Yeah, but it changed. This is not art. We call ourselves artists, but an artist is a different thing. An artist is a guy who wake up in the morning and want to paint, but doesn't paint. He go back to the bed because he's an artist. We have a purpose. We have a brief. We are more designers. We are creating something that has been defined by someone else.
Yeah.
And then we have to use our art to fill all these gaps in the middle to make it pretty, But yeah, I think all of that is very important. It's what creates the structure that is going to help you to have a better team. But it's all work in the interpersonal relationships. It's work in know the capacities of everyone so you can tune the message and the intensity of the work and harmonize all of that. That is when a team flows is, this feeling when you cut ice cream with the spoon. When you get the spoon and you try to, it's hard and doesn't, it's frustrating because you want the ice cream, you want it, you really want it, but that thing is not doing the ball you want. Then you put the spoon in hot water, 5 minutes. You wait. Yeah. You are there saying, come on, hit. And you do that in the ice cream. And it cuts through it. So satisfactory that you forget that you wanted to eat the ice cream. Well, that is what you're looking. That is the flow. Like when the things... Then you show that to the client and the client doesn't like it and you have to start the game. But that is other problem, that is out of your control.
And how conscious are you of all these things? Are you consciously thinking about, okay, how should I say this to this artist to make him understand, or to make the feedback not feel so harsh? Or are you constantly aware of all these things, or is it natural?
Well, I think nothing is natural. I think you have to learn everything. This is a controversy point here, because I come from other culture, Spanish culture. I start to say thank you in London. When you enter in a bar in Spain, you don't say, sorry, Mr. Gentleman and Mr. Waiter, can you serve me a beer, please? Thank you. And you say thank you every time. More being in Canada now, that we say sorry for everything, But in Spain, you enter in the bar and say, hey, 1 beer or 2 beers. And the guy, you have to be noisy. You have to call the attention of the guy, He's not there. Yeah. He's not there to serve you. It's his bar, Well, it's a bit of a Klingon thing. I have to learn. Not because I was mean, not because I'm mean. It's because my culture and my way to work is very direct. I want you to tell me, no, this doesn't work. And it has to be done differently. What do you want me to change to do this work for you? For me, that is the process. It's like you do something. Well, I tell you to do something, you do it because someone told me to do something. I pass the information to you the best I think is going to work. I refine it to work with our system and what we can do or no. And you do it. And then you give it to me, and I have to judge if there's something that I can show to the other part that asked me something. That is very generalized. Well, I don't put I put a lot of personal, I put a lot of hour, but I don't want to put nothing personal. I'm not doing nothing for me. It's not my persona who is being judged. It's the result of my work. And it's something I have to sell to this guy later. I'm going to get your work and I'm going to go there. And if I don't have more time and I cannot change it, or I think that, oh, look, there is, you went a bit more to the left. It's not bad. It's different. I don't know if he's going to like it. Maybe it's good. So I'm going to defend that. I'm going to try to convince the guy that, look, this is cool. It's like he's going there, but if in the next shot we do this, it's working and looks more dynamic. And the guy said, yeah, maybe. Or say, no, I want it different. Then you go back and the guy get molested because you have to change this and this. But I don't like that. I think we all have to get our egos when we arrive to the office, remove it, put it in the locker of the egos that is in the door, and enter in the office as more humble we can. It's okay. We're going to receive emotional damage because people is going to criticize what we do. And sometimes it's very hard because you are criticizing things that people, even if the level that they reach is not very high, but I'm sure they put all the effort into it, So yeah, I remember in the first months, first month was more in the first year working. My father, one day I was talking with him, say, so how is it going? And what is the thing that is moving you more, no? What is creating more? Well, he didn't say in that way. Emotional energy, no? I said, well, the thing is that I come to this place with my best intentions every day, and 3 times per day, all my work is judged by people who doesn't really have in account how much I'm working on it, or how good I know the tools, or if I have fever or not. And they are doing their job, and that is very humbling, brother, because it's like you cannot have a strong ego here, because this guy is arriving and saying, oh, he want to say this is it. He cannot say it because, of course, he's not thinking in the people who's behind. No, he's in front. In that now it's less, but in that time they were in that front row, of the cinema. The rest is darkness, and of course they care of every one of us, and they love to have, and we all love to have beers together. But in that point, you have to release 100 shots that week, and you are stressed and you are tired, and you say, this is what the shit is this. Even when you say that, you are not saying that what is the city job you did. Is they are saying, oh fuck, how I do this work with the other shot, and oh man, your color changed. So it's a very tricky situation. I think for me, when I work with professionals, or what I consider professional, what I love is that we all understand the circumstances of the other person. So when you say, oh fuck, this is it, the other person understand that is not with him. I'm trying to avoid it. Nowadays you cannot say that. Like, there is a different culture right now in the work environment too. But I remember myself one day, like I was doing this shot, I saw it to my my lead, and he started to, oh, we love what we do, blah 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 blah, no 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 blah 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 blah. He was trying to say something, and honestly, 2 minutes later was, okay, what you don't like, I change it. No problem. I don't care. My work is not to judge this. My work is to make whatever you need to show to the supervisor. Tell me, what is the color, is the frequency, is the size of the thing? What is not working here? Tell me.
Yeah.
And the guy said, oh, this isn't this. Okay, we change it and we present it. But was this very polite British approach versus this, I didn't sleep too much tonight, I want to finish the shot soon. so
yeah. But do you have any techniques to get people from that really like careful way of saying stuff and not wanting to offend anyone? Or for you, when you give feedback to someone and they might take it personally and like get uncomfortable, do you have any techniques to get them to this more professional way?
You have to be nice. I don't think it's polite. I don't like the word polite. I don't want I don't want the definition we use of polite now. Like, you don't want to say nothing that can change the emotional state of the other person. No, yeah. I don't believe in that. I think every project is a emotional roller coaster. We have to have emotion to work. It's not very boring. So there is a long distance between change the emotions in the conversation to insult the other person. There's a long space, and you have to avoid it. I've been in meetings in like there was bad moments and people said things and you can take it personally, but you have to work with that person tomorrow. Like, as a supervisor, like many artists think that this is the supervisor who usually put tension in the artist, but the supervisor has his own tensions.
Oh yes.
So for many, I think it's a question of be able to create this space in what you don't take nothing personally. You understand the other people has a stress. You understand the other people maybe doesn't trust you because something happened. You need to gain that trust. And when you have that trust, and the people knows that you are going to be there and you're going to be accountable and that you are trying to do your best and have the correct information, I'm saying upstream and downstream, the people can, then it's a personal decision to be mean or not,
Yeah.
So I think, and this goes for down and upstream, it's like the technique is to know this person, to know to try to feel why he's so stressed or he's taking it so personally, and have a conversation with that person, or have a relationship with that person that help that person to understand that we are collaborating here. Look, and I'm sure that many of them, they know, I had not bad relations, but tense relationship with many artists in my life.
Yeah.
And we become good friends in some point. Why? Because, I'm very demanding with myself. So sometimes I know I'm a bit demanding with the people. But I'm not going to ask nothing that I don't know, or I'm going to try. I can be mistaken, but I'm always trying to ask things that can be done, and that from the big picture makes sense. Myself, many times in my own picture, I was not seeing the other pictures. And I was thinking that they were asking me for something that was not right. But at the same time, I was thinking, well, if they ask me, my work is to give them this. And then say, hey, look, I don't know. Maybe this is wrong. I did what you asked me. Here, this other version that does this other thing because I think it's going to work better. Of course, do the main thing and then give the option, But yeah, I think there is a lot of relationship work that you have to do. And I like that. I like that close relationship with the team, Sometimes a bit too much, because at the same time, I go back to the culture thing. And as a Latin person and a person from the Mediterranean Sea, you see how I move the hands all the time. We we are more. One thing I noticed when I went to outside is that the level of interconnection in our culture is a lot more. You are more in the life of the other people. You are, you have more opinion over whatever it does. And from more Nordic cultures, feels like an intermission. Like,
yeah.
in
Yeah, just look at me sitting here, all still.
Yeah, no,
Not
I
moving.
cannot stay still. I remember that in other thing that shocked me a lot in London is why you cross when you're in Spain, you're in a corridor in the company. Hey, how are you do? What you did yesterday? And in London was, it's like it's not bad. Like from my point of view of a Latin person, like from the Mediterranean, I was feeling like, oh, they don't like me, but was nothing about that. That was my interpretation,
Yeah.
So in the moment you express that, I'm a bit confused because, I go through the corridors and this supervisor, how I talk with him 3 times per day, didn't even answer, doesn't look to me. Yeah, no, but this is normal here. It's like we are a bit colder than you guys. It's not that important.
Yeah.
Okay, then there's not a problem. You learn.
But when you learn, sorry, but when you, now I'm apologizing like
no,
a
don't apologize.
polite Swede.
Don't apologize.
Sorry. Oh no, I did it again.
Sorry. Apologize that I asked you not to apologize.
When you start to interact with a new artist or a new like lead or something, do you tell them like, this is how I want to communicate, this is how I want it to work, or does it just work itself out by itself?
I like to do it. I would love to be able to spend all the time with everyone. No, this is because we have like a hierarchy. Hierarchy is a word that sounds wrong right now if you want, but it's that you have leads, you have supervisors for a reason. I love everyone in the chain to know and to transmit the spirit. It's what I would love. Like, look, this is the tone of this project. I like to interact with the people. Of course, you cannot interact all the days with all of them. And I try to say hello, at least. And I don't think I am like giving a speech like, oh, this is how I want us to work. This is the parameter. No. Not as a global thing. I think it's something that I like to introduce as we go.
Yeah.
But when I'm for sure trying in every interaction with every one of the artists or managers or whatever, is try to introduce like these parameters in the conversation, not in a very formal way, but in a relationship way, like along the days, and like every time that when you are more in crunch time, like the mood is different than when you are not in crunch time, so in that you are in the moment you are working with these 15 artists, like every half an hour you see one of them, so it's in that moment, it's like, okay, do this, kind of you start to steer the work they do in more close, So that is when I probably am more, because we don't have too much time and we have to do things quicker, is when I'm a bit more severe, let's say, more strict. And this is when I'm more verbose in what to say. Don't do this, don't do this, and use this filter, or use this, or can we fix this 3 intersection? These ones we do it in comps, it's like you just, but in general is more, it's more the relationship and the time. And then fine tune the team, because the other thing is that if you work with one person 1 time, 2 times, that you don't have to repeat.
Yeah.
That this guy knows, when Carlos said green, it's light green. It's not this other green. When Carlos saying it's too tight, means this and I know when this guy said, no, it's going to be for today, means that it's going to be Wednesday, So, so it's it's very important to establish relationship. I think when you are when your team is there is like the market and the situation makes that sometimes you cannot keep the teams and there is a high rotation. It's fun because you learn a lot, because you have to deal with people who are not trained in the system, but at the same time it's very exhausting because you have to redo the work again and again and again. It's like there is few supervisors, client supervisors and VFX supervisors I work few times. Is a completely different thing. The first movie, the second movie, the third movie.
Yeah.
Because it's just what the guy want to say and you know what you don't need to do. You save a lot of time and it's a lot. You have more time to improve things, than to discover what they want. And you collaborate more. That is very important. I think collaboration is something, it's not should be all collaboration. I'm not asking you to do something. I'm collaborating with you to get you to a successful point that is going to help me to get other person to a successful point.
Yeah. Yeah, something we talked about when we were messaging back and forth was this: when you communicate to your team, how do you make sure that you get what you want, and how do you make sure that they understand? And we talked about this when you work with teams remotely, and I think you gave me like a master class in how you should communicate as a supervisor. So can you talk a bit about that? Like,
I don't know if
taking
I can
responsibility
now. Like, I lost the paper where I have the speech. No, well, like in my experience, that I am very grateful for all of that. I work a lot with like it's very fun because the people think that remote work started with the COVID, But I've been working remote with India and with London and with Vancouver from Montreal for the last 8 years, probably. Like the main force in Technicolor is in India. Like the 80% of the muscle is there. Well, muscle, no, and the brains too. But there's a high volume of people there. And basically, we were interacting with them 1-2 times per day. So we were doing remote work from the office with other office. So I think I want to differentiate what is like to work with remote teams in terms that they are different culture, different location, different values, parameters, and what is to work remote with people in your same area. That is what people now talk when say remote work.
Yeah.
I think it's very difficult for me. In the first part, that is the remote work with our colleagues here around, I think it's very important for everyone to understand how difficult it is to communicate and to get the information. How important is to have to see the eyes and the expressions of the other person and the voice. I think one thing all companies we neglected a bit was, okay, here you have a camera and a microphone, go home. No, we need an education of how to work in remote, how to work from home. We had the pandemic, it puts out, bam, go away, go home. I'm amazed how DINEG managed to, I was in DINEG in that time, how we went from none to working remote in 2 weeks. And we finished the projects. Every day I was more surprised with, wow, this, thinking when we talk, like an aha moment, wow, how we did this, like it worked.
Yeah.
I think to learn how to communicate through this new method and to develop strategies to do it through the new method was super important. And I think even today we still keep trying to work remotely with the same patterns and techniques we were using in the office,
Yeah.
A completely different meeting when you were, let's only invite the leads because we want to do a quick meeting. And now you have 20 people because you can invite whole the company. To start, that meeting is super expensive. You have all the company there. You have 20 people there. And then 18 of them, they don't have the camera. You don't know if they are there. You don't know if they are working. So kind of you have to establish, you have to call the attention of that people. You have to focus them. I would love everyone to switch on the camera. Of course, there's technical limitations, but at least the people who is talking or interacting. And, in that 15 minutes, pay attention. Focus on it. Try to do the meeting. Maybe split the meetings in little meetings so you don't have all the people there. And go and establish this communication we are having, you and me. You are focused on me. I'm focusing on you. I tell you what I need. You tell me what you think you can do or what problems you can have or the ideas you had. And then I let you go, Other thing too is that when I started this business, I had like probably 15 years, well, 15 years maybe is too much, but 10 years of freelance work in my back. So I was used to work at home and alone. I think it's an art to work at home. You need to have a very strong discipline because, it's from when you sit with your pajamas, you don't break. You kind of all get messy and together. I like to wake up. I prepare like I'm going to the office. I put my clothes. I don't have pants. No,
me neither.
I don't have shoes. That's for sure. And then I sit here, and I try to keep this place workplace.
Yeah.
And I enter in that dynamic. And then the ideal thing is it requires a lot more of precision and verbal description of the things. I think it requires a lot more of coordination and production effort to keep the things going, because it's very easy to lose yourself in your home because nobody knows what you are doing. When you are in the office, we all know that you are watching YouTube videos in your phone, but at home, we don't know. Maybe you're working. But the people is there. The people are their homes. We don't have control of that. So it all depends a lot in the work discipline of that person. And production should be there to reinforce that without being a hassle. It's like, I remember in the NEG, in one of the projects, there was this coordinator. Basically, we were like we were helping a project. So there was 3 VFX supervisors with D and the VFX, no? And I got like 300 shots to do, I think it was 3 or 4 weeks. Probably ended being 2 months, but that was the idea. And then I had this coordinator. She was basically, in some point, it was, stop, like, you are basically, she was not leaving me 1 second free. But like, it was one meeting, she was calling me for the next meeting, she was calling me for the next meeting, then she was calling me to review things, then she was calling me to tell me that something was broken. Then she was, no. I was so grateful because that person was keeping me connected to the machine, because I don't see it. I am at home, I'm retired, I'm in a corner. I only can ask, I want to see this, I want to talk with this guy. But she was connected to the hub of information. So, hey, we have a problem with this shot. So she was taking note. No. And in the moment I have a gap in my agenda, she was just falling through that gap like a hawk, bam, and dropping these things that need to be solved. It was annoying because I was not able to relax. But at the same time, I was so grateful to her because she was keeping my brain focused, and the days were a lot more effective. So I think it's a combination of all. Like when you are in remote in this system, you really need to focus in to have a structure that allows that. You really need a lot of professional behavior in the artist side because it can get stranded very quick.
Yeah.
And then you as a supervisor needs to understand that and try to be the more specific possible. It's like, and understand you are not going to have time to show him things, to express with your hands. Like we are removing 50-60% of the communication. Even if you see me, you don't feel me. You don't. Even my tone of voice is different there than in person.
Yeah.
So you need to be very specific and try to, like, all the things we were talking later, know these people, adapt to his, try to understand how he thinks, what he's going to do. You need to be a lot more precise on all of that. And it's very important, the structure for me when you're working remote, it's very important to put a structure there that allows us, can be uncomfortable because it's more restrictive, but in the midterm is going to give you better results. You're going to get better shots. You're going to get more time to improve them, or if it is what you want, to relax and do other things. You're at home. You're going to be automatically doing the other things. So
what can that structure look like?
Well, the structure is like to make sure that you have an efficient system in what you can control the time of everyone properly. Now you have your leads, you have your coordinators, give them a team, roll through that people. It's not like let them. No, they are going to do a version, but when we're going to see something, I don't know, somewhere in the day. No, like basically, let's check depends on the stress of the project in the moment. No, okay, let's have a look every 4 hours. Just throw a daily. Or they are other disciplines that needs more time. It's like to adapt to the cycle of production of every discipline, and say, okay, look, like, so in the end of the week, we need to show these 10 shots to the client. So for Wednesday, we need all the animation and all the technique done. You do that, and then you start to put control points and all of that with production, with coordination, and it's a bit annoying because kind of you are on top of but you have to be. It's our work, and the artist needs to understand that whether it's a demand of finish something. And the artist needs to understand that he's isolated. So he cannot just go for a coffee and tell the guy in Tekanim that the publish is grown, because he's not in the office. So he have to, in the moment he see that the publish is grown and cannot work, he have to pass that to production. He have to talk with the artist if he thinks that he can solve it between them, or involve the lead and solve the thing so we can move to the next step. Everyone has to have the feeling that we have a purpose that week, that is to get these shots done. That becomes in every one of the steps. In the purpose of your week is to do this. Put all the emotion, put all the energy on that, and then, oh yeah, if we finish in 4 hours, then you can relax. It's like you don't need to, but everyone needs to be focused, and that is the artist knowing how to work in that way. Oh, what happened there?
I don't know.
Like I did it. And then look at that. There's a balloon.
Yeah, awesome. That's a new feature I didn't know. It doesn't work for me.
Because it's high contrast here. Okay. So you need to have the artist focus in what we are doing. Again, we talk like to be professional and to understand the flow, how it works, to have coordination and production, being aware of the limitations and when the things are done, and not be asking for impossible things or for things that make no sense, like, and be more focused in to solve problems and to facilitate the work of these guys than say, oh, it's not done, it's not going to happen. No, how we make it happen, what we need, and then we as a supervisor and managers to be, again, like supporting that effort, not controlling that effort. Control is not bad. It's only that it can get negative, when it's over control and you kind of feel that the other people, why is that they are calling me every 6 hours? One thing I always ask when I am in comp is like every 2 hours, for example, just push the render, do a daily when we're in remote mostly, because then I can have my filters, and every 2 hours I see where the shots are. I say, oh, this is going well, this is going, this guy, this one is getting very blue,
Yeah.
And the same with other, again, depending on the cycle, because other disciplines needs a lot more of time. But it's very different from when we work with crews in other facilities. For example, as we told before, in India, because there is a very different culture, there is a very different language. Not everyone speaks English. In my case, my English is not very formal. So there is a lot of work trying to adapt all of that. But the principle is the same, is that you need that person, whatever his language is, or his way to understand life is, to do something for you that has to be shown to a guy in LA, So you really need to tune all the system for that language for this, no? So it's a lot of try to, it's not micromanage, maybe it's just to split the task as more as you can, so you can give depends on the artist too. I have experience with India. I didn't work with any other place in this way. They are amazing artists there, and there is a lot of energy. They put a lot of themselves in the work. They're very proud. What I love, they want to do it. They help you, and if you help them, they help you more. It's like it's a symbiosis. We are there.
Yeah.
You are not there to tight the bolts. There is always a level of chaos. That there is always a level of chaos in the Western side too. It's only that we don't recognize it. But there is a level of chaos that can be good for creativity too. No, it creates things that maybe you were not expecting. But you have to adapt. One simple thing: you are in a city like Bangalore, in what there is people come from every place, and maybe what your commute to work is 20 minutes in Montreal, but the commute to work in the same distance in Bangalore is an hour and a half or 40 minutes. And then there is a traffic accident in one road, and then it's 3 hours, So many things happen, it's a lot more, it's a lot less predictable landscapes, the one we have there. Of course, they do a big job trying to control that. And for sure, they do a big job trying to equalize that variability. I remember many times when I was there and I was arriving in the morning, I have my leads and the supervisors seeing who was able to be today, what should we have to do, and rearranging the shots and the people to try to get the most of it. That was every morning. They were doing an excellent job. Was perfect results. It's like it's all about that. It's all about trying to get you tuned to them, not them tuned to you. Because if you go there with your juice from London or from Montreal, and say, I want this and this and this, and maybe they cannot do it because their circumstances are completely different, and then the culture is different, and what is speed or focus or attention in some details is different to what you expect. So you need to learn and think with the leads and the supervisors and try to understand the dynamics of the team. You have very good people, and one thing I really love is that you have very good people that still they don't know how to do it, but they are learning. And it's impressive how quick they become good. Like in the last project we did, I saw shots done in 1 day, 2 days in comp, and in FX and in lighting. It was, but it's done. Yeah, well, it's good. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to give any note. Let's show to the client, see what happened, And then the next day, it's approved. It's okay, great. And it's just that. It's just, there is a lot more. I think there is more. I remember me more the energy we had in London, like 15 years ago, when it was all new, was like a kind of an adventure to come to this business and try to do something. You were like, oh fuck, I made it. I enter in the building. It's like now like there is so much work that is a lot easier, but they still have this naivety in the approach to the work, many artists, and there is no small task, They want to do it, they want to feel that the shot is good, and they feel proud of the thing. But I think it's an important thing, not to you're going to work a lot of hours in this and this and that, and then you're going to be tired, but you are going to be happy and proud that you did, and your team is helping you. I saw that a lot there too, like how the lead sits with the guy and go through all the shot and help him to do it in different ways, and then the guy comes to me, Carlos, look, the shot went back. Can we stop it for a bit, and we cannot show it today, and then I have to kind of distract the client of that shot and give the time to the junior to become a mid, and the mid to become a senior in 2 weeks, because honestly, I'm amazed of the results I got. Well, not the results I got, how they grow super quick.
Yeah. And something you mentioned when we talked before was this, it makes sense in all kinds of communication, if it's remote or not, but to explain why you want it in a certain way. Like, okay, I want you to do this, and I need that because that ties into this next step, or and I think that's also something that is easy to forget, that
yes,
as an artist it's so much easier to do the right thing. Even if you say what you want, if you know why you want it, it's so much easier to do it the right way.
Yes, and I don't think it's just the artist. I think it's all of us in the system.
Yeah.
It's like from the producer, the coordinator, the runner, the client, our client, that is he have other clients.
Yeah.
No? We said that, no? Everyone in some way is in risk to isolate itself and just focus too much in his little piece of work. Yeah, it's very important for me. At the same time, you cannot. I think it's good to keep your team in different levels informed of what is happening. I like to keep it real, When things are tough, they are tough. When things are not so tough, you cannot just go and sit with the artist. Oh, the client hates your shot. That is not going to work because that creates panics. Like the client is God, man. No, I think you have to put a context to that. Like, look, they did that. They shot all these other shots that you didn't see. I didn't see either, but they consider that this has to be more green or bigger or smaller, or the animation has to be different. Let's do that in this way. So again, you come with the information they need to change whatever they need to try again, And it's your responsibility as a supervisor to tune that song to them and for what you need, no? Because it's one thing I don't really like, and it happened more and more every year, is when the client send the feedback and the feedback go directly to the artist. I think from my point of view, it's just wrong, because that artist is an isolated interpreter that is going to interpret something out of any context that has been translated by a coordinator typing super quick that is missing the context.
Yeah.
Because probably if you go back and you're able to be in the call or in the review that happened, you're going to see a completely different understanding of that works. Not because the coordinator took them wrong. Look, I saw real pieces of art in taking notes, but because there's no context, and more importantly, there is no previous and post conversation. Maybe that notes come because 2 weeks before you were discussing something. So it's not about to blind the artist to the feedback of the client. It's to put in the mind of the artist that feedback is discontextualized and need to be contextualize. More importantly, it needs to be adapted to what we can do today. Like the client, maybe the director that is more disconnected even than the VFX supervisor in production because he's doing other things, Maybe he sees the shot for the first time and he throw a rant there, and maybe we don't have to do that. Maybe someone has to talk and modulate and tell, oh no, we're going to do this or this or this. So there is a lot of filtering needs from my point of view with what every feedback, and it's more, I think, from my point of view, in a good way that works nicely, the 2D supervisor will filter my feedback because he knows his team, he knows what he can do in the time he have, and he could, no, we cannot do this, Carlos. I told them to do this first, and we have to wait for this a bit. Okay. It's like, your team more than I know. And maybe there is a outing Wednesday and everyone is going to be a bit not tuned Thursday, so that. So you tell me, hey, look, maybe Thursday we're not going to have this, but probably Friday, yes. Again, I guess we discuss internally and we try to tell the client, hey, don't wait for this Thursday, but Friday I'm going to give you 2 shots more. Like, I think it's very, very important to control the message, to isolate the people from what can distract them, and to give them what they need to know in the next kind of in 3 stages. What you need to do today to be able to close this shot so we can go home and be happy, what we're going to do in the next days, and the purpose. Have a look to the sequence. One thing that bothers me a lot is a lot of the pipelines, they are very shot based.
Yeah.
And you don't have, I think for me, one aha moment is when I discovered there was a thing called sequence. No, it's when I think Technicolor, like MPC, have a very good tool for review. The tool they use, review tool, is. I will do a teaser call. I love review tool. It's for me, it's been like so far the best way to review stuff. And there is like an option. You say, put the shot in context. That sentence is gold. You choose how many shots before and after, and you choose what discipline. You click that, and then suddenly you see that your asset is doing this, and in the next sequence is starting here. Something is wrong. You see that there is a lot of smoke in this sequence. In the next, there is no. You see that this sequence is green, this sequence is blue, this shot is blue. And I think your career as an artist is not for all the departments, because at the department they are not sequence dependent, but lighting, comp, FX to some extension, for sure animation. Animation is more aware of the sequence because they need to be constantly watching their shots in context. It's going to give you a. And the same that context shot sequence exists, there is other context between us and the client. It's like, what are the plans of the guy? And sometimes it's very fun because like something that happened internally in the client in week 3 reached you in week 4, and you has been working 2 weeks in something that they don't necessarily need, because it's gone. Or simple, like you need time to show things to people, no? So it goes to your shot, goes to the sub or the C sub, that goes to the other guy, that goes to me. I have a look. I say, okay, let's send it to the client. We send to the client. The client is not one person, it's a whole new team there.
Yeah.
Then it goes to the VFX supervisor in the client side. He look at it. Oh, it's good. Let's send it to. It's a week later since you press the button to render.
Yeah.
And then the guy said something, and the VFX. I gave notes. The VFX supervisor gave notes, not because we are mean and we're going to go no, because we think it's going to need something. And then 2 weeks later, a producer in the client side said, but you don't remember that we removed this sequence, so this cannot happen in this moment. And then it go back to you almost a month later, saying, hey, we have to change that. I think, but your version is 10 versions higher than the one they saw.
Yeah.
So there is when you need people connecting all the pipeline and discussing that. And in the next client call, we bring this out. Like, look, we got this node. You give nodes, I gave nodes. The version we have now is version 7. This is slightly different than the one you saw to the generate the node. What of these we have to apply of that? And maybe there is a conversation in the client side about that. And then I gave you your feedback. But the feedback that came from the client is not necessarily connected to your work of yesterday. It's connected to your work of a month ago, So again, everyone trying always to go faster and to shorten the time, but it's physically. Maybe the director is doing 2 movies. Maybe he just finished shooting one and is doing the second one. And he's in Kuala Lumpur in an helicopter filming when he's reviewing your scripts. So it's a tricky one.
Is there anything that you wished you knew earlier in, like, as a VFX supervisor or as an artist? Is there anything that, like, oh, I wished I knew this when I started out or when I first became a lead? Or
I'm sure there is plenty of things, yeah. At the same time, I think the spirit of adventure will get lost if we don't go through that pitfall, no? I think a lot of the growing and the learning come from have to face things that you're not comfortable with. And nowadays, there's many things I do every day that probably were like a struggle at some point.
Yeah.
Like this thing we are doing today, you asked me like 15 years ago, oh, you are going to have an interview. I will be a lot more nervous. Like yesterday night, I went to a concert with my wife to Nick Cave. We go every year.
Yeah.
And I said, how we go? I said, oh, let's go in the metro. I don't usually go in the metro. I go on the motorbike, I go on the bicycle, I go on the car. Well, let's go in the metro because I have to prepare the interview. So I was with your paper in the metro, like reading it. I'm figuring out how to give you something good,
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, probably I would have been trying to prepare this for 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm probably giving you a more artificial result, because I will prepare it.
Yeah.
One thing probably that I would love have known, I don't know if I constructed properly in the past, was to know first you can fail and learn from it. Second, you have to dare, you have to try, because you have to take risks. There's a risk on all of that because you can fail hard. But at the same time, that is going to give you the experience and the edge. So I have to say, in my first years as an artist, I was very scared of make a mistake. I was very scared of ask too sometimes. Like I thought I was surrounded by such a very strong professionals around me that my level was like ridiculous, and probably.
Yeah.
But in some point I decide, well, you have to, you are living with that and the results are not so bad, you're still here. So I stopped looking around and in some way, I stopped comparing me with the rest. I was doing my best and 5% more, a 10% more every day, and not trying to say, oh, this guy is better, or look how good is with projections. And like, okay, show me how you do the projections. Learn from that guy. Don't be scared. Or the same with every step. With production, is like when I started to go to set, for example, I had some limited experience in set, not as a supervisor for sure. So I arrived there, and from day 0, I was feeling like I have no fucking idea of what I'm doing here. I had 0 idea. But I was asking, I was being curious, I was staying very late with them, and asking people, and then you start to notice that everyone has his I don't know what I'm doing part. But it's just your experience and you're willing to do it, what is covering that gaps. And then you learn things, Remember my second day in a project on set, the producer came to me with a camera and said, "Carlos, I have everyone busy. This train in this hangar. We need to take textures. Go there and make and do textures." Okay. Hey, how do you do textures with a camera? Like, I know you have to do bracket photography, but I never did it. So one of the on-set guys, like our technicians, showed me how to do it and the basics. And but that evening I did the texture for a 20 meters long train, So and you learn, So I think that the more important this thing is to learn that you can not know something. You cannot let that stop you. And if you think you are going to break something because you don't know, better talk with the people around before take the risk, And even you say, well, look, I'm going to try. Maybe I cannot do it. This is the best thing. I love that when we are in dailies. Someone come to me, hey, let's do this. I know it's difficult, but we only have 3 days. What about that? Well, I can try. And the guy's going to try. Then 2 days later said, no, not working. Okay, good. We still have 1 day to react. Probably you tell me, I'm going to try to do something in the side. Like, for example, in FX, like, we're trying to do something and working on. Automatically, I'm going to ask the 2D supervisor, start to look for elements because maybe we have, But, the best option is to have this setup of clouds that work in 20 shots, than to have to do 20 shots by hand, Like, comp is very handy, but, it's less procedural, It's more one case thing. So I think it's very important all the people in the team being able to feel in the good space that they can say, well, I don't know how to do this, but you notice not all the time, but when someone is throwing a gambito, you said in English, like it's throwing it's like in the poker, like when you say I have more than I had, but it's less. And in Spanish is un farol. It's a lamp. I don't know why it's a lamp from the street, but it's like you are distracting from the reality that you don't have good cards. But it's poker face. You can read the poker faces, like so don't do it. Just tell the other guy, because there is a lot of things in the line that they know. Look, I can try. I have this problem. I never did it. This thing, but we're going to try. And I think that is what creates the team later, because you grow with that people, and you collaborate. You don't force things to happen. The more important thing in all the process is to have some level of predictability, like to be able to forecast where are you going, because there is nothing worse like to promise something and don't show it. It's better to say I'm going to have this and you show more, because or is like when you see that the line is coming, said, I don't think I'm going to make it to the line. I think I can give you this day, this day. That helps the other person to organize the thing. Like everyone have a deadline, Your deadline as an artist is 1 day before the deadline of the lead, is a day before the deadline of the supervisor, is 2 days before the deadline of the project. Maybe it's a week before the deadline of the client, but they are telling you that it's 2 days before, so you get the things early. What I completely understand, because sometimes we play too hard, but but there is always that. It's like, I think it's very important. I think that is other aha moment. The moment you realize that you can collaborate and you can afford to reveal your weakness to the other people. But for that, you need to have a team that trusts each other. Like you feel like
something you just said in passing, like communication wise for the artist, like, okay, I'm not going to be able to reach this deadline, but I can have it on Monday, or like just small things like that. If you just say, no, I won't be able to make it, then you're not helping your supervisor. But if you say, I'm
No, you're
not
not
going to make
helping
it,
you either, because
but
then I'm going to put that you have to do it now, and then it's going to be a surprise. And then, but the same that you, if Amazon tells you that you're going to have this Friday, you're basing your weekend in that backpack that you bought, and then you are Friday there. You didn't leave Friday because you're waiting, because nobody can climb that mountain without that backpack, And then Friday, nothing happens. It's 12 p.m. You're going to go to the bed sad, waiting for your backpack. Your friend has peace with you because you told, I cannot go tomorrow because I don't have my backpack. And the backpack came at 10:30 in the morning Saturday. No. One of the things we all love of Amazon is that they say Wednesday is Wednesday, So I think that is in general, like, to trust and to create this environment of trust is everyone can have a prediction of what is going to be your future, And if you trust and you have that, you can say these things. You can say, look, it's not going to be Wednesday, but Thursday probably, yes. And if you tell me that, and I know you usually commit, of course there is always something can happen, but then I plan over that. And the next step plans over that, and the next step plans over that. So your plan, when you say Thursday, is going to change the agenda of
yeah.
So better we commit to that. Then yes, look, I don't know, a meteorite can hit the server farm and then we cannot render. But one electron can change a bit in the memories. But that I cannot control, that I cannot. But
yeah, I think this has been really great. I think you have shared a lot of insights and also very personal stories that I think is very important for a lot of people to hear, that you don't need to have it all figured out, and you don't know, you can ask questions.
You have
ask questions.
You have to want to figure out. You want to look for it. You want to put your energy on that.
Yeah.
Like I told you last time, I'm learning to fly. That is a very interesting sentence.
Yeah, right.
There's few good songs about that. My brain goes to the Foo Fighters. That is, and one thing I read recently is there is no worse sentence in aviation that I know, because when you know, you don't check.
Yeah.
And when you don't check, that little gush in the oil that is doing in the middle of the flight over the Atlantic becoming, and then you lose your engine.
Yeah.
Because you knew, no, don't know, check, question yourself, figure out, understand that there is other things affecting your situation than what you can do,
Yeah.
And in VFX that is very applicable, because look, there's so many people, there is so many interests, there is so many needs. Every person, every department, every side of the system needs something different. Even when the final product is the same thing, it's this movie. But as a global thing, it's a movie. But if you slice it in parts, it's something completely different for every person.
Yeah.
For every department. So I think it's very important to know that you cannot know everything, and that you have to rely in the team to do that, and that even the more junior member of that team can have a good idea.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think one thing that I take away from this conversation, we've been talking for 2 hours in total with our pre-talk as well, and the sense I get from you is so interesting, because every time you talk about someone, you understand that, it's not the coordinator's fault that the feedback was only this line, because they were writing as fast as they could, and understanding all the circumstances for everyone, all the artists, and they didn't know, so they did this. And it's so interesting to see And I think that's something that I can really try to get better at, and seeing the circumstances, understanding, but people are doing the best that they can, so there's no need to be mad at someone. Or it's only like, if you can have that context in mind, everything gets so much easier. Like, you don't have to be upset with someone, or
No, like, well, okay, let's go into the hard part of this, no, because there is the not reality. It's basically like, as we talk, other thing that I think that we should understand after all this conversation is everything affects everything. It's like that first day or first month coordinator typing and trying to get notes and not getting something right is affecting a lot of things. Maybe I was talking with the VFX supervisor in the client side in that moment, and he gave 3 notes, and the first note called my attention so much that I don't remember the other 2, and then I relay in that notes. For that, it's very good to have redundancy. I love when the client side is taking notes too, and our side is taking notes too, because at least you can cross them too. I love when we can record the calls. That is something I think should happen all the time, but sometimes you cannot, because there is things that avoid that. But the thing is that it's all good. You just started, you don't know how to type. We are not used to type, that's for sure. You don't know the lingo, you don't know what the guy is talking about. What I can ask you, No, I can ask you one thing. You want to learn. And probably what I'm going to do the next day, if I try to read your notes and I start to laugh, probably, because Jesus Christ, what do I do with this? First, when I do Jesus Christ, don't take it personally. I'm not blaming you. Then I'm going to go to you and I'm going to say, look, these are the notes of the client. The guy have 10 years of experience taking notes, and they are like a Bible. You see? So start to read get your notes, get his notes, get the record of the session, you have it, go through that, and start to understand what is the difference, where he's focusing the attention, what is the bullet points. Like, you don't have to get all the words. Like the edge of the shoulder is not working, look like a potato going into blah blah blah. Yesterday I was watching this movie and I saw no. He's saying that there is an intersection in the shoulder that needs to be fixed. Just type that. And not going to be today, it's not going to be tomorrow, it's not going to be Thursday. But every day you're going to be a bit better. And then it's not my work to teach this person to do that. No? So then I will go to production and say, look, can we team him with someone, or her with someone who can teach him? It's a weakness of the system right now. So we have to make sure that in a month or in 3 weeks, it's not a weakness.
Yeah.
And that is the important part, is to make it work. And look, if I sit in the back row and I try to take notes, even knowing what I have to type, I will not do good notes. I don't use notes. I use notes. Yeah, not lying. when I start my career, you have to, with your notebook, write the things in the darkness. There was these guys with a ballpen with a lantern. It was always very funny. I decided not to use notebooks one time. So, look, you have to remember your notes, because it's not to memorize what the client said. Is to understand the purpose and the essence of what he's saying. He doesn't like it because he's using too much space in the screen and is calling too much attention. He's not asking me to change that because it's big. It's because being so big is making the characters less visible,
Yeah.
You see the shot you want to look at here. Oh, there's an explosion. Oh, there is some actors running because there is danger. Oh, it's debris falling from them. So the scale and the timing is going to affect the readability of that, So that is the essence. It's not the explosion is too big. It's explosion is removing attention from the characters.
Yeah.
And that helps you to do better shots because you are not just doing the thing smaller. You are just maybe adding a bit more of contrast, removing a bit more of smoke, putting something passing in front of them so it looks more dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the coordinator or the runner is not getting that, the PA. Not getting that because he's thinking, oh, we have 30 shots to do. And there is something that disturbs me a lot lately. Like I enter in a room dark and I see 20 computers open. And in the end, we don't have good notes because everyone is trying to multitask and doing other things. No, just fucking focus in something, Like multitask doesn't work. That is other aha moments in life. The day you realize you were not multitasking during the first 20, 30 years of your life. You were forgetting you were failing to multitask. You were justifying your lack of multitasking, thinking, no, I did it very well. No, you don't multitask. We can only do one thing and a half at the same time and not very good all the time. So focus. And then you enter there. This guy has to do the notes, You are the producer. You know that person cannot take notes too well because he's still trying to figure out who can help that person. And that person needs to take notes too, just in case. Notes are very important because it's the record of the conversation.
Yeah.
And figure out. We, between all, as a team, we figure out how to get that weakness not being a weakness. It's not important the day that fails. Important not to let it fail again.
Yeah. Awesome. Have you anything else that you prepared on the subway that you haven't mentioned?
No, it was a very short trip. I was surprised. I was surprised with the metro. Like, oh, they changed this and changed that. Like Montreal
maybe you should do that more often.
Yeah, it's an adventure, It's like you don't do it. But I tend to go in the motorbike all the time I can.
And from this point on, we spent like 30 minutes talking about motorcycle adventures and other unrelated stuff. So I'll save that for some other podcast. But I really hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And thank you for listening all the way to the end. And if you find these podcasts interesting, I would be really happy if you connect to me on LinkedIn. I think there's only one Alfred Lindahl out there. And send me a message because that means a lot to me. It makes me motivated to continue doing this. And I know I should probably have a proper page for the podcast and stuff like that, but I have a very limited amount of time for this, having 2 small kids and trying to make a living doing commercial work as well. So I've decided to focus on the content for now, and maybe I'll work on the packaging later when I somehow magically get some more time. Anyways, this is VFX Talks. My name is Alfred Lindahl, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.